Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the camp. It's so good to see you again. And welcome to all the new camp members. It is very good to see you too. Today, we have a few stories from Reddit. So, gather tight around the campfire to these true, scary, and creepy stories. Alright. The first story is from RXWN. One time, I bought some herbs in a vacuum sealed bag. The kind where you rip the top off, then the pouch has a resealed zipper. I ripped off the safety seal and threw it away and used the contents for about 3 days before one morning. I went to open it and the safety seal was back on, perfectly intact. There is no way I could open the bag without peeling off the new perfectly security seal. It was expensive herb, so I wouldn't have just gone and bought a whole other ounce without realizing it. And now to the second one. It is from Morso99. My dog kept going up the stairs after death. When I was a kid, I lived in a really tall house. There was a central set of stairs that went 4 stories high that the house was built around. My parents' room on the 4th floor, while I lived on the 3rd floor, right next to the stairs. My childhood dog, this mutt named Burla, would climb up the stairs most nights to go sleep with my parents, while occasionally sleeping with one of my siblings on the floor below me. Anytime Bueller was walking around the house, you could hear the clacks of his paw on the wooden planks. He would never hit up a consistent time either, going from as early as 8 to as late as midnight. Fast forward to July 2014. I'm 17 and Bueller had just passed. The house felt really empty for a while. We had gotten so accustomed to his clacks that it was just odd not hearing them. But they kept on coming. For about 2 weeks after his death, I, along with my parents, heard Bueller climb the stairs every night. The sound was unmistakable. I heard this noise for years on end. It was the same pattern and the same rhythm as Bueller in life, except there was no Bueller anymore. There was no weather pattern going on. The house wasn't especially creaky, and we didn't have other pets than him. It was never at the same time every night either. When it became late July, we stopped hearing Bueller's clacks. I asked my parents if they heard the noise, and they agreed. It had to be Bueller coming up the stairs. I will say I never went to see what it was, just because I knew definitely what it was. It was Bueller going to sleep with my parents. The third story is from It's Lady JD. And it is a comment on another story. So, reminds me of a time my mom lost a ring of hers while she was out of town. She had looked everywhere for it, but by the time she was to head home, she had pretty well given up. A few months goes by, and one day, she finds it randomly on the floor in the house. None of us have any idea where it came from. She still wears that ring to this day. The next story is from DazenMan69. There used to be the ghost of a teenage boy in my mother's house. My sister saw him once, and on different occasions visitors would often ask us who was the boy that went running up the stairs as they entered. We just came to accept that he was there with us. The next story is from Titan Do 89. Missing sunglasses. So, a few years ago, I lost my sunglasses. They're only like $20 glasses. I bought them on Amazon, but still sucked to lose them. I looked all around my car, my house, even in my golf bag I have but only used one time. Nowhere to be found. A couple of years later, I'm at work and going to break. I open my car door, and the compartment on the roof that holds sunglasses is down, and my glasses are there. I asked everyone who even knows what car I drive if they were just playing a joke on me, and that I never cared, just didn't want to be going crazy. Everyone says no. Everyone always said they must have been there the whole time, but I have to believe in my probably month-long search for these glasses, I would have checked that one spot made for sunnies. Next story is from Violet Praying Mantis. I think about this a lot. When I first moved to America in 2015, I made friends with a group of people that I loved being around. One night, while we were hanging out, I decided to borrow their laptop so I could scroll through Instagram. I was surprised to find that account I was logged into the browser was my cousin's. My cousin lived half across the world and had no possible way of accessing the laptop or knowing my friends. I just moved there. I never mentioned or talked about that one specific cousin to my friends, and yet there it was, her Instagram account logged into the laptop. I was confused and thought that my friends were playing a prank on me and hacked into her account. They denied it and thought that I was crazy, but I definitely didn't log into her account, and neither did my cousin, and I'm pretty sure that my friends at the time didn't either. And the last story is a little longer, and the submitter wishes to be anonymous. Alright, here goes. I used to live in a farm in Scotland, and I was walking home. A long farm road, and no one between houses and no one around. It takes about an hour. So I'm looking at someone else's farm while walking, and I'm looking at these Highland cows, the big fluffy ones. I'm thinking about how much I'm going to miss this because my parents said we're moving to Canada, and I knew I wouldn't see them in Canada. I did not take my eyes off the 6 cows that I knew very well, having living there for so long, until a strong wind came. So I closed my eyes for a second. When I opened my eyes, there was a seventh cow, a black and white one. I have absolutely no idea where it came from. The barn was far away. I immediately thought, because I was sad about leaving home, my brain freaked out and I thought I saw a black and white western cow, until the other cows started inspecting it, physically licking and mooing at it. The hair on the nape of my neck still stands up writing this. But I was so scared I bolted, and the next morning called the farmer whose land it was and asked if he had gotten a western cow. No, he had not. I told him I saw one in his field last night, so he went to check. He called me 2 hours later and told me there was no cow like that. Years later, in Canada, I became a therapist. This always stuck to the back of my mind, so I spent a lot of time pouring of research in different fields, grief, monetary, psychology, anything. I told my own therapist about it, and he didn't know what to say. I had never had delusions or a history of psychosis. I was 17 and sober, and so it wasn't being a young kid or intoxicated. I know it sounds made up, but I can't explain it. I've been a vegetarian for a decade now. And that was it for today. Thank you so much for all the amazing stories, and thank you so much for allowing me to share them here on my channel. But I have but one more story for you. It's an bonus story. This story was submitted to me on Facebook a long time ago. The story was of a woman was driving home. She was running a little late, and she drove past a red house to her right. She was a bit tired, and the time in her car was about 9:20 or 9:30 in the evening. So she suddenly felt a little lightheaded because she was sleepy. And then a weird mist suddenly rolled over her. She quickly shook her head and looked up because she didn't want to fall asleep behind the wheel. And when she noticed the fog roll over her, it suddenly disappeared. And she looked around, and to her right, to her surprise, she was driving right past that red house a second time. She looked at her dashboard clock, and it was now only 9:15. So, not only did she drive past the same house twice, but she somehow got 15 minutes back in time. And I remember this lady was running a little late, so she quickly drove home and explained to her husband, but she did not have an answer for it. Neither did he. So, thank you so much for that story as well. If you want more stories, remember to subscribe and like and comment which one was your favorite. I have some personal horror stories of my own. Weird things is happening all around my house. Well, I should say me and my wife's house. Very strange things indeed. I don't know if it's paranormal, glitchy. Maybe you can be the judge. Maybe I will tell them in the next video. And I have also more stories, fictional stories I have written myself. If you want more of these, please let me know. And until next time, this is good night. And remember, the best stories are told around the campfire.